Welcome everyone to another episode of BizzTalk Africa, and this is our special Bureau Veritas edition that we do at least once a month. We're really glad to have our guest Marc Roussel back with us. Marc, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm joining you today from Mombasa in Kenya. I'm facing the Indian Ocean, and I'm very happy to be back with you today.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks so much. Marc, you've been on our show several times. It's always a joy. So really looking forward to today's topic. I'm Jason Schuster, your host, and my wonderful co-host, Vidya Mike. Hi, Vidya.
Hi.
And she's coming in from New York, right?
Correct.
Excellent, excellent. And today's topic, really exciting, investing in renewables and infrastructure. And of course, this is a little bit more specific to Africa, but I'm sure we'll talk about some things that aren't necessarily specific. Well, Marc, real quick, I know some of the guests already know you, or some of our viewers already know you, but if you could give us maybe 1 or 2 minutes, just reintroduce yourself, tell us a little bit about BV, and then we'll kind of dive into the topic.
So, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Marc Roussel. I'm the head of Africa for Bureau Veritas. Bureau Veritas is one of the leading company in the testing, inspection, and certification. We are a business-to-business, to society company. Everything we do is dedicated to improve the quality, the health and safety, and also environment and social responsibility throughout the world. And we are committed to help and to support our customer to do so. And in Africa since more than 125 years, I think, something like that.
Wow.
We love the background, Marc, shaping a world of trust. I mean, that kind of says it all, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what we're doing, trying to build trust and confidence for people doing in things, but also between people, relationship, and especially trade relationship, helping them to move forward with confidence and helping them to achieve improving the world, which is good.
Absolutely. And that leads us on quite nicely on today's topic.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, Marc, right now there's a big energy transition happening in the world, and there's a lot of investment in ambitious projects, especially renewables and development in the African continent. So what all has Bureau Veritas done to contribute to this new era, to this new movement?
So Bureau Veritas, as mentioned before, we're going to continue a bit what we've been doing for decades. I mean that everything we do is to improve quality, safety, health, environment, and social responsibility. So what we just have said is try to get it organized in a way which is more in line with the expectation of our customers. So we call it the BV Green Line of services, Green Line of services and solutions. And here we're going to try to support any customer which is strive to demonstrate their commitment through transparency, trustworthy, and meaningful actions for new renewables. And that may seem a bit complicated, but maybe I'm going to share an example, very simple. I was discussing recently with a big company who has many warehouses. They want to move to renewables, and they got a lot of people coming to them, telling them you could put renewables here, you could put renewables there, but the guys are lost with a different business model, and everyone promising it's perfect. And here as we know them from before, we will propose them to perform the design review. Design review means what? It means to check the different solutions people are coming with, and to check if it makes sense or not, and to enable them, to allow them to move forward with confidence, to say, okay, that's the best solution. And then once you've got a technical solution which is good, then you can also help them assessing the supplier, because they don't know that field, and they are a very big company and they are very knowledgeable, but they have absolutely no knowledge in that new technology. So it's really go ahead.
So how did Bureau Veritas get you guys would have invested in new resources, R&D and stuff like that to actually now be able to have that expertise. What was that journey like for BV?
Of course, the way we are organized always, we are organized in by geography and also organized by technical center. So
Right.
we have dedicated some technical centers who are helping more on renewable than before. Some are very knowledgeable for wind, as for example, more the one which was used to work for offshore, by the way. Some are technical center in France, but you've got some technical center which are more helping for a dam projects, which is also a renewable projects. But definitely we are learning more and more, and we've been helping a lot of customers dealing with the new technologies. But of course, yes,
and as you said, how do you know which one to choose? Because there's so much, and this is the risk for investors. This is a risk for your customers. There's so much noise out there. You have to actually strip that back, right?
Yeah,
And know what works.
That's where again I do believe in the third-party positioning, because we are a technical company made of many engineers and experts, but we are not selling renewables. I have no shares in PV or in
So it's
photovoltaic, or
independent.
we are totally independent. So we are in a position to approach the problem in a very kind of a scientific or technical mode. So based on
Fantastic.
the acquired knowledge, you give your opinion. So even if the customer doesn't like it,
Yes,
it's
yes. And
okay.
what's good about it?
Yes, it's our mission is to be fair and to be honest.
Absolutely.
Right.
And because
So
you guys always do quality audits continuously, you already have that framework. So when you add in, the renewable energy component of it, it's still on BV's original framework and how you actually deliver your results. Amazing.
yeah, completely the technical background. There's no big new science there behind renewables. It's a bit different when it comes to hydrogen. But hydrogen, we are part more and more to hydrogen councils. But there's a lot of knowledge which is already quite well known.
Yes.
Right. Now,
So it's more to be
something that
Go
Billy
ahead.
said, you mentioned risk. With renewables, there is a lot of risk because, well, one, it's a lot of it's pioneering, right? A lot of these projects can be pretty expensive. How does Bureau Veritas help their clients manage that risk?
So that's a good question. Thanks. Of course, investors, they can be owners of a financial institution. They need to understand the risk and associated mitigation method. Because before and while investing, because when you want to put your money, either it's a greenfield or brownfield, you know, to understand a bit what's going to happen. And here, as I mentioned a bit before, we are acting as independent for the design, to assess a bit the situation. But then we are also helping them then all along the steps of the projects to reduce the risk at every steps. Because the risk very often it's a multiplier. You make a small mistake there, multiply by a small mistake there, and at the end you've got a disaster. But there's no big mistakes. It's just the accumulation. So a way to mitigate the risk is to accompany our customer all along the steps of the projects. And it's applicable also to renewables. The point here is also to come with independent technical advice, because as mentioned by VD, there's a lot of noise, a lot of people coming to you, telling you many things. Some are true, some are less true, or not completely true, not untrue, but maybe not everything has been said. So that's a bit the way we try to accompany our customer. Yeah.
And I think because Bureau Veritas has been in Africa for so long, in terms of being able to help customers navigate around some of the infrastructure challenges that you would have, roads, connectivity, electricity, power, all of these things. In terms of reducing the risk is one thing, but your knowledge of Africa really does help somebody's success, because it could be a great idea to put an enormous, wind farm somewhere. But actually, there's no roads, there's no access points, all of these sort of stuff. So I think Bureau Veritas knowledge in Africa helps significantly for that.
Well, I agree with you, and thanks for making the point, because the initial start of the design assessment is going to be very technical with the technical center, and here you need very knowledgeable people. Then you need the knowledge, very knowledgeable people who know the country, who knows a bit where you're going to do some things and the associated challenges to delivering such a project in that specific location. And here, once again, we have in Africa teams a bit everywhere, and we've been operating for many years. So you're totally correct. It's also a part of the risk we are able to assess, but also able to accompany the customer along the execution to make sure the quality control, the quality assurance, everything is well monitored. Let's put it that way.
But, right, and of course, solutions to problems, right? Because
of course,
being in Africa for so long, BV would have, accumulated a whole host of partners that you are trusted as well, that you deal with. So in terms of soft landing for a project, you will have that.
Yeah, it's true that we know quite well many customers, which are also suppliers for other projects in Africa, because we've been there for many years. So there's many companies we have been already dealing with, either as customer or suppliers or partners. So we've got definitely a good knowledge about where you can go, including good knowledge of the local authorities and to deal with the compliance and to deal with the commissioning, the special authorization and all that, which is also a point not to forget.
It could make or break a project, right? Because you'll have delays, you'll have all sorts of stuff. It's just facing a regulatory environment. You need to have that insider knowledge.
And also, especially when it comes to new technology, sometimes you have to discuss with the local authority what are the applicable standards, what is acceptable or not acceptable. And it's much easier to discuss, even for the customer, to have BV discussing with the local authority, which very often we already know, and we are a third party. So we're discussing with the local authority as kind of independent person. It's not the same if the guy is coming for his own projects with his own money, pleading for his own cause. So here, there's always a bit of suspicion. Is that true, or the guy is just singing a song?
And like we do on BizzTalk, I always go off center, which I'm going to do right now.
Go off center.
I'm
not shy. If I cannot answer you, I will not answer you.
In many instances, this because and Jason sort of alluded to it. It's pioneering for Africa. But one of the things that BV has, because you guys have world standards and you understand the bigger requirement across the globe, when you actually do something in Africa, you are now able not only to work with the local authorities, not only to work with your customers, but actually to help set the standards, right? Because this country doesn't have something, doesn't mean you don't go in with gold standards, right?
Right.
Well, we don't set the standards because we are not the local authority.
But you can help shape it, surely.
We can. I don't like that. I'm a private company. I'm not the local authority. But we can definitely having discussions with the local authority to share with them our knowledge, to share with them what is already existing here and there. But then the local authority is the only one to make the final decision. We're just, but we are also a trusted party for many authorities because we know them.
That's exactly what I mean.
Just keep in mind, and we are already acting on behalf of many governments in Africa for the verification of conformity. So we are already checking the conformity of many imported products in many countries in Africa. So all the local authority and the local Bureau of Standards, yes, we know them. But then once again, it's just a discussion between adults, then the final decision is the only call of the local country.
Absolutely. That's great.
I love it. I love it. I'm not sure that there are there any companies that have been in Africa longer than Bureau Veritas?
In our industry, I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I think you might have
in
the
our
most
industry because
experience in Africa of anybody.
In our industry, I'm a bit doubtful. I don't think so. I think we were the oldest one because we came very, very long ago. We started very.
It's pretty tough to beat that kind of experience. You really have seen
Indeed. And
kind
trust.
of all of it.
I was not there, Jason, at the beginning.
No.
Just to make sure, because
no.
your sentence is a bit ambiguous.
No,
I felt a bit.
If so, you look great for your age, Marc. So I want to come back to something that Vinny mentioned something earlier, which is something that we come across on the show quite a bit, and that is infrastructure. You mentioned it's great. It's all well and good to go in and put it, try to put in windmills and these renewable technologies, but there's also a big lack of infrastructure, right? To be able to do those things like transportation, roads, etc. And most African countries do lag significantly behind the rest of the world in terms of infrastructure. That includes energy, road, rail, water, etc. But how do we explain that? Why is there such a
That's a hard question, this one. How to explain the past, I don't know, honestly speaking. The questions is we can look at as of today. When you look over the past few years, it has been estimated by some international organization that the infrastructure spent as a share of GDP in Africa since 2000 is about 3.5% of the GDP per year. Which means, so if you say 3.5%, if you don't have comparison, okay, it's good, it's not good, we don't know. But if you compare to a country like China, just to give you a range of idea, China is spending about 7.7% of its GDP, which is twice more per year. And they are already more developed and more, they have already more infrastructure than a continent like Africa. A country like India, it's about 5.2%. So definitely the money spent in infrastructure as of today in Africa and over the past year, as a percentage of GDP, is not enough. You're not gonna catch up the gap in infrastructure if we are not able to spend more in infrastructure. Then, as of today, you've got quite a lot of money available here and there to make projects. You've got a huge pipeline in Africa of projects, of infrastructure projects. If you look a bit everywhere, you're gonna see a lot of projects. Then it comes to the ability to deliver projects, to deliver it on time for the expected cost, and have a project which is delivering what you are expecting. If I take an example I very often mention, I may have mentioned before here, if you take a road, you can build a road. If it lasts only 1 year or 5 years, it's not enough for a road. You expect a road to be there for 20 years, 30 years without major maintenance. Right. So that ability is maybe the main point to improve as of today, to make sure that the investor, the government, the financial institution feel comfortable spending the money in those projects. So, but then I cannot make the history. So what we try to do as a private, we try to help the private player or the investors to ensure the appropriate delivery of the projects. And that is a bit always the same, is a bit by securing each step of the projects. And that's where you need, with a bit of investment, monitoring, quality control, you can improve a lot the delivery of the project, because at every step, you make sure you're not making a mistake. So you check the design, you're gonna check the supplier selection, so we can perform supplier audits everywhere in the world. You can check the products you are importing before they arrive on site, because once they are on site on a very remote area, it's very difficult to fix it, or you're gonna start to do crazy things to make them fit the projects, but not gonna be good. And then to ensure to be on site, as mentioned by VD, to be really in the field a bit everywhere in Africa to make sure that it is done appropriately. That's a bit the way we try to help and to support that gap closure.
You know, Jason, that's a good point you raise as well. It's such a chicken and egg situation, right? Because if you listen to the statistics that Marc just listed, right, because the population is for like China, India, or Europe and US, because the population actually has a higher earning power, the taxation that the government collects is a lot more, and that's what pays for roads and infrastructure and stuff like that. Africa, we have to bring that level up because there's a lot of people below that poverty line, and that's where this cycle, there's this disconnect between the two, and these projects help that. Yeah.
Yes, but VD, you know that the situation is even worse than that, because what you're saying is true. The average in some more developed countries, the average income is higher, and so that gives more tax. But if you look to the tax rate in the more modern country, the tax rate as a percentage of the tax collected as a percentage of the GDP is much higher than in Africa.
Interesting.
So not only the base of the tax is lower, but the rate is, and as of today, if already you fix the rate, would be a big point solved.
So to investors out there, put in your budget road supplement. You need to subsidize the African roads so that we can improve it.
But you know what's interesting? It does present an opportunity, right? Because of this lack of infrastructure, there's a lot of infrastructure to be built, right? Especially with energy, water, etc. It also presents an opportunity to build that infrastructure in a more sustainable way, while the rest of the world is maybe having to take steps back, ignore some sunk costs on infrastructure, and start over. Africa has an opportunity to do it right the first time, right? Start sustainable, right, Marc?
I am. You are 100% correct, Jason. I fully agree with you. I fully agree on two levels. The first one, Africa, because they are just doing adding a lot of infrastructure currently, even if there's a gap and all that, Africa is moving forward definitely. I'm in Kenya currently. You can see the SGR rail. You can see some new roads. It's moving. There's a lot of projects. If you go to Nairobi as of today, there's a huge highway under construction. So it's moving forward. But as you say, the first point is that Africa is going to enjoy much more recent, much more modern infrastructure.
Indeed.
Look to the airport. In many countries in Africa, you've got nicer airports than in Europe, which are becoming a bit old. And infrastructure is becoming quite nice. But now you're right. The big point to do as of today is to make sure that infrastructure are built in a sustainable way. And here I do plead for kind of, I'm not sure it's the appropriate word, green infrastructure. So from day one nowadays, you can build the things and think about the green. So as for example, I've been discussing, if you are building a new port terminal in a nice area, it's good to think about, okay, how can I build that terminal, which is highly needed and there's no point of discussion there, but to think about how can I build it in a way which is a bit more responsible, making sure that I'm not polluting the water, making sure that I'm using energy in an appropriate way, maybe making sure that I'm using from day one some renewables on the warehouses, making sure that I'm using digital solution to reduce and to improve the traffic of the vessel, which is impacting, which resulting in a reduction of pollution. So all the steps are clearly good steps. And just to share with you, is public. We have created and been working with Group Bolloré, and we have creating a label which is called Green Terminal. And the idea, it's applicable to existing terminal, but the easiest application on the very short term is for the new ones. So when you build a new terminal, we have defined with the support and our knowledge of certification and our knowledge a bit of the port, but also with the Bolloré extensive knowledge of port activity. We have defined 8 pillars and with KPI per each pillar and then a kind of 4-level scales to define a green label for a terminal. So when they build now a terminal, they're going to try to apply as much as possible that principle. So the terminal will be green from day one. So then you are still have to take care of the existing one, but at least the new ones will be designed in a way which are much more respectful of the environment, of the local community, of the energy saving, of the pollution of the water, or waste disposal, and many topics. So yes, we totally agree. Huh? And I'm in that I'm very optimistic for Africa. It's really a chance. Huh?
It is. It's an opportunity because Africa will be a leader in what sustainable infrastructure looks like, right?
I do hope so. I do hope so.
Yeah,
the tables are going to turn.
It is. It's going to turn. Again, it's
very exciting.
It's a two-edged sword, right? I mean, the lack of infrastructure makes a lot of things really difficult for African citizens, but it also presents that opportunity. And so
if you look to South Africa, to deal with the existing coal-fired power plant, not going to be that easy. Huh? I think sometimes they would prefer to have nothing and to start from scratch.
Yes. Absolutely. The thing is with cities, because they're so populated, because there's so much infrastructure, you can't just get rid of it. It's not possible. But when you have this blank canvas and you have the knowledge of what went wrong, retrospect is an amazing thing, but retrospect on a blank canvas is beautiful. How many of us wish we could be teenagers all over again and not do stupid things? I mean, it's amazing.
I never did so stupid things.
Marc, here's a good, I think, segue into digitization. And, for what you guys are doing and what you sort of describe with being green and all and sustainable, etc., there's still a challenge with telecom infrastructure and the entire digitization, because a lot of what's coming into Africa require that sort of level of connectivity, right?
Definitely. Here there's the point we can observe as of today, and I'm not a private equity, but maybe I could put money in it, is a growing demand, and it start to happen in Africa for new data centers. So you've got all the, of course, in Africa, we will increase the number of submarine cables. But it's already existing, but it's continuing. They're going to increase the number of telecom towers. So on this one, we are working on telecom towers to make sure the design is correct, and also to ensure the monitoring of those towers, which are very often spread over a huge area, and also having those specific concerns. But the new trend I can observe is the data centers. Data centers used to be more overseas, but you have more and more demand for data centers. And data centers is not that easy from a sustainable standpoint, because it's highly consume a lot of energy. So here is the same. BV has got required. You were talking about acquiring resources. Several years ago, we acquired a company in the US, which is very knowledgeable in terms of data center design and commissioning. And here in Africa, we're gonna, as for example, we're going to participate in the commissioning of data center for Amazon in South Africa, and we can see a growing demand for data center, and to make sure they are designed in a way which is also respectful. But that's a good topic. Huh? We need more infrastructure. And on top of that, you need to make them as green as possible, which is not that easy.
Yeah, and the thing is with data, right? And a lot of African countries actually have restrictions on what data could leave the various countries and areas, and where you're actually going to hold personal data. So you're right in terms of having a solution for data center, because as technology improves, as more people become online, as more fintech gets deployed, that data needs to go somewhere. It's a great topic.
I think some investors are envisioning a nice market there, I think. But I'm not in that business. I'm only commissioning and doing my business, but I think it's a good business for the future, definitely.
I agree. Well, guys, we're actually right at our time. So, but we can go just a couple extra minutes. Marc, what are your final thoughts? What do you want to leave the audience with today? Just kind of summing up our discussion today.
No, I think the idea you mentioned, renewable, definitely we need to go for it, and everyone is going for it. Nevertheless, we need to go for it in a proper manner. If I was a bit provocative, I would talk about green renewables. So we need to go into renewables, but with the projects which are also respectful and well planned, well organized, to make them efficient and not spoiling energy or spoiling water or destroying the nature, just to put a wind farm right in the middle. So green renewables, to me, is a good topic, and we, EBV, we are there to accompany our customers. And green infrastructure, we are really supportive of anyone putting forward infrastructure, and we will help them to deliver them on time, but also to have green projects and to be highly well recognized by African countries, but also by the international community.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Marc. And
absolutely.
This is a great show. Oh, yeah, I always look forward to our Beer Veritas editions, our Shaping a World of Trust
That's a good
show.
trust. I'm proud of it.
I am too. I really love it. So wonderful. Thank you, Marc. Thank you for being here. As always, thanks, Vidi, for being my wonderful co-host. And we will actually we'll see Marc again, I think, here coming up pretty soon. And then we'll be able to talk about a pretty cool event happening in August with Bureau Veritas. But more later.
Stay tuned.
Thanks a lot. Hi, Jason. Bye, Jason. Thanks to everyone.
Marc. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Marc.
Until next time. Bye-bye.